everyone, and welcome to Informative Facts channel. Today we're diving into the weird and wonderful world of history with some unusual facts you might not have heard before. We're talking about those strange, surprising, and sometimes just plain gross moments from the past that they probably didn't teach you in school. So buckle up and get ready to have your mind blown. Alright, let's kick things off in Boston, 1919. Picture this. It's a chilly January day and people are going about their business. Some are walking down the street, others are working in their shops, maybe a few kids are playing stickball in the street. You know, typical early 20th century stuff. But unbeknownst to them, a disaster of epic and sticky proportions is about to unfold. In the heart of the city stood a massive storage tank, 50 feet tall and containing nearly 2.5 million gallons of molasses. Due to poor construction and rising temperatures, the tank buckled under pressure. With a deafening roar, millions of gallons of molasses surged through the streets of Boston. This was a full-on molasses tsunami, a 50-foot wave of molasses, ripping through the city at 35 miles per hour. The Great Molasses Flood was a disaster of unprecedented proportions. Buildings were damaged, some even collapsing under the sheer weight of the molasses. And the people, well, they were covered head to toe in the stuff. Rescue efforts were hampered by the sheer volume of molasses, and the cleanup took weeks. The air was thick with the smell of molasses for months afterward. The Great Molasses Flood is a testament to the unexpected and often bizarre nature of history. Today, Boston has moved on, but the memory of that sticky day in 1919 lingers on, a quirky chapter in the city's rich history. Now let's travel back in time to ancient Rome, a civilization known for its impressive architecture, military prowess, and, well, its public toilets. That's right. We're talking about ancient Roman sanitation, and believe it or not, it's a topic that's way more interesting than you might think. You see, the Romans, they were big on public baths and hygiene. They had this whole system of aqueducts bringing fresh water into the city, and they were pretty advanced when it came to plumbing. Their public toilets were often communal with rows of stone seats. No stalls or privacy here, folks. But here's where things get really interesting. These public toilets weren't free. Oh no, the Romans, ever the pragmatists, saw an opportunity for revenue in everything, even urine. That's right, they taxed pee.
It's true. The Romans had a special tax called the vectigal urinae, which literally translates to urine tax. Urine was a valuable commodity back then. It was used for a variety of purposes, from tanning leather to cleaning clothes. Apparently, the ammonia in urine makes for a surprisingly effective stain remover. So, instead of letting all that liquid gold go to waste, the Romans decided to monetize it. The Roman toilet tax is a fascinating glimpse into the daily lives of the people who lived in one of history's most influential civilizations. So, next time you use the restroom, take a moment to appreciate the marvels of modern plumbing and be thankful you don't have to pay a tax on your pee. And hey, maybe spare a thought for those resourceful Romans who found a way to turn even waste into profit. Chapter 3. The Great Cat Massacre. Okay, buckle up for this one because we're about to enter the Dark Ages. And I'm not talking about the period between the fall of Rome and the Renaissance. This is a time shrouded in mystery and fear, where superstition ruled the day. I'm talking about a time when cats, those furry little bundles of joy, were public enemy number one. Yes, you heard that right. Our beloved feline friends were seen as harbingers of doom. You see, in 13th century Europe, Pope Gregory IX, a man who apparently didn't get the memo about cats being awesome, decided that these feline friends were actually evil. His decree would change the fate of cats for centuries to come. And not just any kind of evil, mind you. This wasn't a simple case of disliking cats. He declared that cats were the familiars of witches, demonic creatures in disguise, sent to wreak havoc on Christendom. This was a serious accusation in a time when witch hunts were common. Now, I'm not sure what kind of cat Pope Gregory IX had the misfortune of meeting, but I'm guessing it wasn't the cuddly, nap-loving kind. Perhaps it was a particularly mischievous one that crossed his path. Whatever the reason, his declaration had some seriously bad consequences for cats across Europe. The impact was immediate and devastating. Fueled by fear and superstition, people began persecuting cats on a massive scale. It was a dark time for our feline companions. They were burned, drowned, thrown from towers, you name it. The methods of their persecution were as varied as they were brutal. It was like something out of a feline horror movie, only this was all too real. The terror was palpable, and the cats had no escape. The Great Cat Massacre, as it's tragically known, wasn't just a case of isolated incidents. It was a systematic and widespread persecution. It was a widespread persecution that lasted for centuries and wiped out huge numbers of cats. The scale of this tragedy is hard to comprehend. And while it's impossible to know the exact toll, some historians believe that millions of cats met their demise during this dark period. The loss was staggering. Now you might be thinking, okay, so people were afraid of cats. It's sad. But how did that affect anything? What were the broader implications? Well, here's the thing. Cats, as much as we love them for their snuggles and purrs, also play a vital role in controlling rodent populations. They are natural pest controllers. With fewer cats around, rats, those disease-carrying little critters, had a field day. The balance of nature was disrupted. With the decline in cat numbers, rats multiplied at an alarming rate, spreading through towns and cities like the plague. The infestation was uncontrollable. They multiplied at an alarming rate, spreading through towns and cities like the plague. Their numbers grew exponentially. And speaking of the plague, the Black Death, one of the most devastating pandemics in human history, which wiped out a third of Europe's population in the 14th century, has been linked to the decline in cat numbers. The connection is chilling. So ironically, by trying to rid themselves of what they perceived as evil, people inadvertently made themselves more vulnerable to a very real and deadly threat. The consequences were dire. So the next time you see a cat, give it a scratch behind the ears and remember the important role these furry creatures play in our world. They are more than just pets. They are guardians of our health and history. Chapter 4. Victorians and Mourning Jewelry. Let's fast forward a few centuries to the Victorian era, a time of great social change, industrial revolution, and, a rather morbid fascination with death. The Victorians, they had a unique relationship with death, one that might seem a bit, shall we say, intense to us modern folks. They were obsessed with mourning rituals, elaborate funerals, and, most curiously, mourning jewelry. Now, when I say mourning jewelry, I'm not talking about a simple black armband or a locket with a loved one's picture. We're talking next-level mourning bling, folks. Think intricate designs incorporating materials like jet, onyx, and even human hair. Yes, you heard that right, human hair. Hair from the deceased was often incorporated into mourning jewelry as a way to keep a physical reminder of the departed close at hand. It was woven into intricate patterns, braided into lockets, and even used to create miniature portraits. And if that wasn't enough, some Victorians even wore jewelry featuring tiny coffins, skulls, and skeletons. Talk about keeping death close to your heart, literally. But the Victorians' fascination with mourning jewelry wasn't just about morbid fashion statements. It was deeply rooted in their culture and beliefs about death and the afterlife. Mourning jewelry served as a tangible expression of grief, a way to honor the dead and keep their memory alive. So the next time you see a piece of antique jewelry with a skull or a lock of hair, remember the Victorians and their unique way of coping with loss. It might not be your style, but it's a fascinating glimpse into a time when death was both feared and revered, and mourning was an art form in itself. The Victorians turned their grief into something tangible, something they could hold on to, and in doing so, they created a legacy that still intrigues us today. Their mourning jewelry is now a part of history, displayed in museums and collections, reminding us of a time when mourning was not just a private affair, but a public expression of love and loss.
Bro, that's a wrap on weird history. So there you have it. A taste of the strange and surprising things that have happened throughout history. From molasses floods to pea taxes, cat massacres to mourning jewelry, history is full of unexpected twists and turns that remind us that the past is a strange and wonderful place. If you enjoyed these facts, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any unusual historical facts of your own, be sure to share them as well. I'm always up for learning more about the weird and wacky side of history. Thanks for watching.